It started with a sound I couldn't explain, a slow, heavy breathing, right under my bed. At first, I thought I was dreaming. You know that strange moment when you wake up in the middle of the night, and everything feels off? The room looks the same, but something feels wrong. That's exactly how it was. I opened my eyes, staring into the darkness of my bedroom. The clock on the wall glowed faintly, 2:13 a.m. And then I heard it again. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Slow. Deep. Wet. My heart began to race. I froze completely, listening carefully. It wasn't coming from outside. It wasn't from the hallway. It wasn't even from the walls. It was coming from below me. From under my bed. I held my breath, trying to convince myself it was nothing. Maybe it was just the wind. Maybe the house was settling. Maybe it was my imagination playing tricks on me. But then, the breathing stopped. For a moment, everything was silent. And then, a soft scratching sound. Right beneath me. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. I slowly sat up, my bed creaking slightly under my weight. The scratching stopped instantly. Silence again. "Hello?" I whispered. No answer. I leaned over the edge of the bed, my hand shaking as I reached for my phone. The flashlight turned on, casting a weak beam of light toward the floor. I hesitated. Every horror story I had ever heard screamed in my mind, "Don't look under the bed." But I had to. Slowly, carefully. I leaned down and pointed the light underneath. Nothing. Just empty space. Dust. A few old boxes. No one. No thing. I let out a shaky laugh. "You're just tired," I muttered to myself. But as I pulled my head back up, I heard it again. Right behind me. Inhale, exhale. Section 2, It knows I'm awake. I turned around so fast I nearly fell off the bed. The room was empty. But the breathing, it was louder now. Not under the bed anymore. It was in the room. My chest tightened as panic started to build. "Who's there?" I called out, my voice trembling. No answer. Only that slow, heavy breathing. I grabbed my phone tighter, shining the light around the room, closet, door, corners, ceiling. Nothing. And yet, it sounded so close. Too close. Then suddenly, the breathing stopped again. Dead silence filled the room. And in that silence, I heard something else. A whisper. So faint, I almost missed it. "You heard me." My blood ran cold. I stood up immediately, backing away from the bed. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone steady. "No," I whispered to myself. "No, this isn't real." I rushed to the door and flung it open. The hallway was empty. Quiet. Normal. Too normal. I stepped out, leaving the bedroom behind, and turned on every light in the house. For a while, everything felt safe again. No sounds. No breathing. Nothing. I even laughed nervously, trying to calm myself down. "Just a nightmare," I said. That's all. But deep down, I knew I hadn't been dreaming. Because I never went back to sleep that night. And just before sunrise, I heard it one last time. From my bedroom. Inhale, exhale. Section 3, The second night I didn't want to go back into that room. But I had no choice. It was my house. My room. My bed. And I refused to be scared of something I couldn't even see. The next night, I prepared myself. Lights on. Door open. Phone fully charged. I even placed a small camera on the floor, pointing directly under the bed. If something's there, I said quietly, I'll catch it. Midnight passed. 1 a.m. 2 a.m. Nothing. I started to relax. Maybe it really had been in my head. Maybe stress had gotten to me. I lay back down, staring at the ceiling, feeling sleep slowly pulling me in. And then. 2:17 a.m. The breathing started again. Louder than before. Heavier. Angrier. Inhale. Exhale, inhale. Exhale. I shot up instantly. This time, I didn't hesitate. I jumped off the bed and dropped to the floor, shining the flashlight underneath. Still nothing. But the sound didn't stop. It was still there. Right under the bed. I reached my hand under slowly. And that's when I felt it. Something warm. Something soft. Something that moved. I screamed and yanked my hand back. And then, a hand shot out from under the bed. Long, pale. Wrong. It grabbed my wrist. Tight. Too tight. I struggled, screaming, trying to pull away. But its grip only tightened. And then I heard it clearly. Right below me. A voice. You found me, Section 4, what lives below? I don't know how I got free. 1 second it was holding me. The next, I was across the room, gasping for air. The hand was gone. The breathing stopped. Everything was silent again. I ran out of the room and didn't look back. I spent the rest of the night outside, sitting in my car, shaking. When morning came, I went back inside. Everything looked normal. Too normal. But I wasn't crazy. I had proof. I grabbed the camera and checked the footage. At first, it showed nothing. Just darkness under the bed. Hours passed on the recording. Then. At exactly 2:17 a.m. Something moved. A shape. Slowly forming in the darkness. Not crawling in. Not appearing from anywhere. It was already there. Hidden. Watching. And then it began to breathe. The camera picked up everything. The sound. The movement. And then, its face. If you can even call it that. Eyes too wide. Mouth too stretched. Smiling. Looking directly at the camera. Looking at me. And then it whispered, tonight. I come out, Section 5, it's not under the bed anymore. I didn't stay in that house another night. I packed what I could and left immediately. I told myself it was over. That I escaped. That whatever that thing was, it belonged to that house. But I was wrong. Because now. I hear the breathing again. Not under my bed. Not in my room. But somewhere close. Always close. Last night, I heard it from my closet. Tonight. It's coming from behind my door. Slow. Heavy. Waiting. Inhale, exhale. And just a few minutes ago. I heard something new. A soft whisper. Right outside. I'm not hiding anymore. I thought I escaped, but it came with me. The first night in my new apartment felt quiet. Too quiet. No creaking floors. No strange shadows. No breathing. I remember sitting on the edge of my new bed, staring at the clean white walls, telling myself over and over, it's over now. I even laughed a little. But fear doesn't disappear that easily. It waits. It hides. And sometimes, it follows. I lay down, keeping the lights on. I didn't care about sleep. I just wanted silence. For hours, everything stayed normal. Until 2:17 a.m. The lights flickered once. Then again. And then, darkness. My heart dropped. No, 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 I whispered, fumbling for my phone. The flashlight clicked on, cutting through the darkness. And then I heard it. Not loud. Not far. Right beside my bed. Inhale, exhale. My body froze instantly. It wasn't under the bed this time. It was next to me. Section 7. It doesn't need to hide anymore. I slowly turned my head toward the sound. The flashlight shook in my hand as the beam of light moved across the room. Wall. Chair. Closet. Nothing. And then, the light stopped. Right beside the bed. There was nothing there. But the breathing got louder. Inhale, exhale. Like something invisible was standing just inches away from me. Watching me. Smelling me. Waiting. Tears filled my eyes as panic took over. What do you want? I cried out. For a moment, there was silence. And then, a whisper. Clear. Cold. Right in my ear. You let me out. My chest tightened. No. I didn't, I whispered back. But deep down. I knew the truth. I had reached under the bed. I had touched it. I had acknowledged it. And now. It didn't need to hide anymore. Section 8. The rules. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. Or the one after that. Because every night, at exactly 2:17 a.m., it came closer. The first night, it stood beside my bed. The second night. It moved to the foot of the bed. The third night. It sat on the edge. I couldn't see it. But I could feel the mattress sink. Slowly. Carefully. Like something heavy was sitting there. Breathing. Waiting. Watching. And every time I tried to move, it whispered. Don't move, so I didn't. I stayed completely still, barely breathing, until morning came. That's when I realized something terrifying. There were rules. And somehow, I understood them. Don't look at it. Don't speak to it. Don't move when it's close. Never, ever, reach out again. Because the moment I broke one of those rules, it would get closer. And closer. And closer. Section 9. I broke the rules tonight. I made a mistake. A huge one. I couldn't take it anymore. The fear. The waiting. The silence. So when 2:17 a.m. came, and I felt the bed sink beside me, I did something I shouldn't have done. I turned my head. Slowly. Carefully. The flashlight in my hand trembled as I lifted it. And pointed it beside me. For a second. There was nothing. And then, it appeared. Not fully. Not clearly. But enough. A shape. Too tall. Too thin. Its head tilted at an unnatural angle. Its mouth stretched into a wide, broken smile. And its eyes, they were already looking at me. Waiting for me to break the rule. Waiting for this exact moment. We stared at each other. Time stopped. My heart stopped. And then. It smiled wider. You looked, Section 10, it's inside now. I don't know how long I was frozen there. Seconds. Minutes. Maybe longer. But when I finally moved, it was gone. The room was empty again. Silent. Normal. But something felt different. Something felt wrong. I sat up slowly, breathing heavily, trying to convince myself it was over. But then, I heard it again. Inhale, exhale. I turned quickly toward the sound. It wasn't beside me anymore. It wasn't in the room. It wasn't under the bed. It was closer. Much closer. Too close. And then I realized something that made my blood run cold. The sound wasn't coming from around me. It was coming from inside my head. Right behind my eyes.